Yes.
We'll get your thoughts on the VAR introduction for the MLS.
I think it's great. I think in the idea of it coming in world football, I think is very important. I think I obviously had a very high-profile goal myself taken away from me. I wish you could go back in time and have it in that instance. And I think it's the way forward. I have to say I'm a big advocate for it. It'd be really interesting to see it practically and how it works, but I think it's been tried out very much and perfect. Great for the MLS to be bringing it in. Very, very important. I think it's a great move from the MLS, and I think we're in a modern day now where it's far too important. We watch sport, we have all the technology, at our fingertips to do these things, to make sure we get the right calls, and the MLS doing it again will hopefully in the future we'll be talking about everybody doing it. But I think it's a great move from the MLS to bring it in.
An issue closer to home, close to your heart, the under-21s of which are semi-finals in the European Championship. Have you been following their progress in Poland?
Yes, I have. I watched their game, I think against Poland 2 nights ago, whatever it was, and playing very well. I mean, the under-20s won the World Cup recently. I hope the under-21s can go on. I know some of the players personally. Shaloba played with at Chelsea, and I think there's a real good development. And I think not just the 21s, but I think the whole the way the FA are building from below, and all the youth teams and up towards the 21s and onwards, bringing through really good batches of players, not just individuals but teams that are playing with the same idea and playing at the top level. So I hope they do very well, and hopefully the most important thing is we see those players come through and perform for the first team.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned that Dan Ashworth in the line of the FA in St George's Park seems to have coming to fruition now.
Yeah.
Is the challenge now to see those players who've done so well at a major tournament playing regularly for their clubs?
Yes, it is, and we're in a new era where it's very difficult to play for you in the Premier League. Like, a lot of players that are at a very high level are not managing to get in their clubs for obvious reasons now. There's such high quality in the Premier League, but what the FA can do, and I think Dan Ashworth has done brilliantly, is create the right environment for them when they go and play for their country. They're learning the system, they're learning to go away and play in tournaments, and they're learning to improve and play and test themselves against the best players from around the world. So I think for a young player now it's a different environment to what I grew up in. I managed to get in a first team at 17. I wouldn't have done it if I was playing nowadays, so it's different. So the great thing is to see these England teams performing so well.
Momentum is very much building for HaytersTV side, such into football. Do you think now that they're at the semi-final stage that they've got a good chance as anyone of winning it?
Of course they have. I mean, when you get to that stage, then you have a great chance, and I think you're talking about players. A lot of them have got Premier League experience, that are playing at a very cutting edge in football in the Premier League and in the Championship. So I think they're very used to the pressures of it. So I have no fears for them there. Listen, the quality level's high. I know that from going to tournaments. I was never successful at a tournament because that's the way it is. You're always playing against good teams who are very well organised. So I wouldn't want to shout their chances too much, but I certainly see a lot of optimism going into it. I would do, and I think the club are working hard towards that. I have to say, I think a few years ago there probably was a bit of a line between the academy and the first team, and players weren't crossing that. But now I think you're seeing Antonio Conte last year trying to bring through the young players. Listen, we all know that Chelsea want to win. You can't bring in young players maybe to the expense of that, but there are certainly times where you can incorporate them, integrate them and help them improve, and then all of a sudden you might see something that you might not have seen. You can see the players develop very quickly, and I think Chelsea will do that.
Of course, one player not so young, John Terry, very good friend.
Yeah. I spoke to him at the end of the season, and I've been in contact with him more via text message, etc. So I can't tell you exactly what he's doing, but I know that John, and I was just saying over there, he's very driven, very focused lad, and I think it's up to John. If John feels like he has it in him to play on, which I think he does, then he should do it, because I think you're a long time retired, and he has no questions to answer about his career at Chelsea. He's been fantastic there, so it's up to him now whether he takes on a challenge in the Championship, whether he goes abroad. I think it's all there for John, and I hope he can enjoy it with his family. I mean, when you get to that stage in your career, it's about making the right decisions. Yes. Listen, I think what he's done, Lukaku, last year particularly, but in the last 2 or 3 years, he's really developed, and I think Chelsea bought that player as a youngster, and whether it was too early or whether he didn't get the chances, I don't know. But I love his attitude. I love the way he plays. I love the way he's very determined. I remember training with him and him practicing his shooting and practicing trying to score goals like pretty much every day in training. So I respect lads like that. I think he deserves the best, and I think if you're talking about Chelsea, if they're trying to, if Costa does move on and they want to get something like for like in the style of a big frontman who scores goals, then Lukaku's proved he can do that.
Of course, there's Europe this year, Champions League, two challenge beyond last year.
I lost you there. You're talking about him in the Champions League. Yeah, sorry. Listen, I think Chelsea were very, very strong last year, and I think from what you're reading about the players they want to bring in, I think they're going to improve, and it'll be another test. They'll fight on the Champions League. They probably were fortunate in terms of the league last year, but I think this year with the Champions League, they didn't have Champions League games to play. So I think this year will be a test for them, but I think if they add to the squad, then they've got a great chance.
Just one final one for me. Joe Hart's another player to make yours a part of the
Yeah, I do. I've got huge respect for Joe Hart. He's a top goalkeeper, a top lad. I would recommend him to anybody. You know, I think when you look at Manchester City last year, you could see they had problems with the goalkeeper. Joe Hart for me was a solution straight there. Now we might go off in a different direction, but I know he's a top keeper. Wherever he goes, he'll do very well. Thank you.
Second game, 7 minutes there, and then we'll do it.